What's up, everybody? My name is Kier, and you are watching the important things that really matter. Today, we're going to continue the series of the child support hustle. That's right, the child support hustle. And specifically, we're going to be talking about the financial effects on men. So, before we get into it, would you please like? Would you please share? And would you please subscribe? I'm trying to get this channel to grow. It is extremely beneficial that you help me out. Appreciate it, because the information which is on the videos that I have will save people thousands, save a person potentially thousands of dollars. It will also help many people to save plenty of pain and suffering. So let's get into it. What are the financial effects on a man if a man happens to find himself caught up in the child support hustle or caught up in the child support trap? Men, this is extremely important for you to know. Do not run around here like some of these other dumb guys trying to get all these different women pregnant. I know it sounds fun to run around and get this person pregnant, that person pregnant, this other person pregnant. Sounds fun, but it sounds fun right now. It sounds fun right now. It's not fun when all three of those women or all four of those women come after you for child support, because it can take you 20 years to recuperate financially from being hit with child support. Let me say it again. It can take up to 20 years to recuperate financially from child support. And if you got 2, 3, 4 women coming after you for child support, you better believe you'll be one of these guys going home with a very small check, wondering how you're going to survive. Let me say this again if you don't hear it. If you got 2 or 3 people coming after you for child support, I ain't even gonna talk about 2 or 3. If you just got one person coming after you for child support, it can take you up to 20 years to recuperate. And it's gonna be even worse if you got 3 or 4 women coming after you for child support. It's gonna take you at least 20 years to recuperate financially from being hit with child support. 20 years, can you hear me? There are men that are on child support that almost can't afford an apartment. There are men that are on child support that almost cannot afford to eat. There are men working 50 and 60 hours, and they're coming home with a very small check. Like one of the places where I worked at, there was a guy that was on child support. He was working 50 and 60 hours a week on the job. And after working 50 or 60 hours on the job, he was bringing home a check that was only about $100. I mean, can you imagine working 50 or 60 hours and you're only bringing home a check with $100 in it? That's absolutely ridiculous. That can be extremely depressing. Not only can it be extremely depressing, it can have so many aspects on your health. So do not go out there and be dumb like some of these people you seeing. You may see some rappers out here, they got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 kids by different women. And it's funny now. It's very funny now. But when their careers are over, which could be any day now, when these people's careers are over and these women start, even before their careers are over, all these women decide to all go to friend of the court and hit these guys up for child support, they're going to be devastated financially. Did you hear what I said? They are going to be devastated financially. And it might even take them more than 20 years to recuperate, depending on how many kids you have out there by different women. It could take you over 20 years to recuperate. It might be so bad, you might end up being homeless or being a bum because you have so much money is coming out of your check. You're not going to have enough money to be able to survive or live off on. So don't be dumb. Don't be stupid. In addition to being hit financially, if you are on child support, and let's say, for instance, you lose your job, or they decide to lay you off, which happens all the time. You lose your job, you get fired, or they lay you off. Well, we have no need for your services anymore. You know what ends up happening? So now you don't have a job and you got child support still. That's child support bill is still coming every month. You hear me? That bill is still coming every month. So you can go back to court and ask, can your child support be reduced? But it is very seldom the court is going to lower your child support. I don't know. I'm not going to say that I'm an expert, but I will say this. I don't really know of any situations where child support has been reduced. And if it has been reduced, it's a very, very small percentage of men. But in most cases, they're not going to reduce the child support. So you can go from one job to having another job where you're making 50% less or 60% less than what you were making previously. And then you try to approach the court. Like I said before, it's very seldom when they reduce child support. Very seldom. Very seldom. So your child support was based on the first job you had that you got laid off from. Now you got another job where you're making 50% less, 60% less than what you were making before. And they still expect you to pay the amount of money you were paying when you had the first job. Well, you're not making that money anymore. You're making 50% less, 60% less. But the court system still expects you to pay the bill at the rate that you were getting paid with the first job. So now you're like, I'm not making enough money to be able to afford the bill. They're not going to care. They're going to be like, hey, well, you better figure it out. You better figure it out. And a lot of men don't figure it out. A lot of men don't figure it out. And the bill keeps racking up until they're thrown in jail. Thrown in jail. If a police officer pulls them over on the street, they may not be getting back in their car. Well, they'll be getting in a car. It just won't be the car they were driving in. It'll be the police car that they'll be getting in. They'll take them right to jail if they're behind in child support. Then you know what ends up happening beyond that? Okay, well, you have your new job, but the new job is making 50% less or 60% less than what you were making at the first job. So my question to you is this: how are you going to be able to work your job if you're in jail? You're not going to be able to work your job if you're in jail. If you're in jail, you're going to lose your job. And that's what happens to a lot of men. They lose their job. They lose their license. If they have a CDL or something like that, all these things can happen to you to prevent you from being able to make money. Can't make any money if you're in jail. Can't make any money if you lost your license and you're a truck driver or something. You're not going to be able to make any money. Follow what I'm saying? Then on top of all that, if you're one of these guys that then had babies by 2, 3, 4, 5 different women and they all hitting you all up for cash at the same time, you're going to be in jail for a good while. And then when you get out, then you got to still try to find a way to be able to generate some money. And as soon as you make the money, they're going to be taking the money out of your check before you even get all the money in your hand. You follow what I'm saying? So yes, it may be fun to say I got 4 or 5 different kids and it's funny and it's ha, 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 funny, funny, funny. It's not going to be funny when you're trying to figure out how you're going to feed yourself because so much money is coming out of your check. It's not going to be funny if you just get to the point where you're so frustrated, you just say to yourself that you're just going to completely get out of the system and just be a bum where nobody can find you and just live on the street. There's a lot of men that do that. A lot of men have became bums on the street because so much child support was coming out of their checks. They didn't have enough money to live off on. Also, too, in addition to that, here's another effect of child support. A lot of men have deleted themselves. If I remember correctly, the figure was from 2008 till about 2012 or 2014, the rate of, men deleting themselves went up about 60% in those years. Let me say that again. The rate of men deleting themselves from 2008 till about 2012 or 14, that time span, the deletion rate for men, had went up 60%. Did you hear what I said? 60%. So a lot of men, when they find out their wives are leaving them, or they find out that they cannot survive because so much money is coming out in child support, they can't take care of themselves, they don't have enough money to eat. I know one guy sat up here and told me one time he lived off of hot dogs and pork and beans for years. Let me say that again. A guy that I know told me he lived off of hot dogs and pork and beans for years. For years. That's all he could afford to eat. That same guy, when he made his final child support payment, you know what this guy did when he made his final child support payment? That man went out and bought him a Mercedes. They were taking that much money out of his check. The same guy that was living off of hot dogs and pork and beans for years. So these are the things that you need to take in consideration. This is a very, very serious subject. It could take a minimum of 20 years to recuperate financially from child support and all the other things that I just said. So these are all the effects on men. You better keep your stuff in your pants, because once they start taking that money out, you're going to be hit, man. So anyway, I'm telling you this so that you use your brain, you use this head instead of using the other one. Would you please like? Would you please share? Would you please subscribe? And I'll see you on the next one. Peace.